it today. The Democratic National Committee.
Well, thank you so much, brother. Thank you. It's an honor to be with you fine poets. Since I wrote a bitter, sarcastic political poem the other day, I had to respond to it with two lighthearted pieces. So I'm going to bring you the lighthearted pieces. This first, I want you to gaze over there at the lizards behind me. I had an experience where I was rushing to a poetry gathering several years ago. And as I came out to the car with minutes to spare, I had a 20-minute drive. What do I find on my windshield but a great, lovely lizard? Well, I didn't want to rush and drive away with that lovely lizard on my windshield. I was afraid he'd blow away and end up on the driveway or out on the highway somewhere. So I tried to urge him to skedaddle, and he wouldn't. He just hung there. I thought, well, brother, okay, what's good for you is good for me. So this is called The Literary Lizard. Lizards against the sky, he may be bug hunting, and I know why. I once had a lizard hitchhiker who rode with me to the library. He rode all the way. He was no piker. And when we arrived for the reading, down he hopped with a kind of enthusiasm as if he was heading for some breeding. Somewhere stopped. He waited on a nearby tree and waited patiently and munched a bug or two or three. And as I re-entered the car to leave, he scampered away. So I perceived perhaps into the forest of grass, an adventure free of concerns, not cleared of all censure. What might he learn? He was exploring my windshield as I prepared to leave. Should the cute little fellow fall, I would surely grieve. It was a 20-minute ride. I hoped the winds and waves would not brush him and prove grave. Traveling down the busy highway, I watched him closely, watching the wind buffet him. As he drove away from home, prospects were grim. The wind pushed him as he struggled across the windshield towards some rest. He reached the edge on the driver's side, and suddenly he leapt to the mirror and climbed inside. He climbed inside behind the mirror to escape the wind. It raced in all its furor. He made it all the way with me to the library parking lot and then was free. I parked at the wild edge of the library parking lot, surrounded by grass and in the shade of a tree, so that when he jumped down, he could hide in the grass as long as he needed for the excitement to pass. Down he leapt into the tall grass and disappeared from me. Maybe he might climb that nearby tree. The literary lizard stayed to see me off, and before he launched his next adventure, I waved and slowly coughed. And as I returned after the poetry reading, he was still there on the tree, munching possibly ants or maybe beetlings. I waved goodbye in salutation and left him climbing the tree to regain his former elevation.
Wow.
And now something completely different. I'm going to ask if I can share screen for a moment. This is a poem called Clock. It was from a prompt of the charming Finn Bell the other day. And she said, use the word clock from the dictionary definitions. And I picked the definition that said, clocking long hours at the office. So clock. Clocking long hours at the office, I was often treated to quite a ruckus. For what it was worth, I was often stuckus. We had a bit of an infestation of mice who were never rude and often quite nice. They rarely ever stole a lunch, and when they did, they'd leave a little something like a tip. And if you left them a bit of sandwich, it might slip. But never, though they were hoarders, would they ever take even a bit from me. I must have been over their borders. I always left them a little fruit to console, something they might wrestle away to their tiny hidey hole, just a few Cheez-Its on which they might dine on those lazy afternoons when they had extra time. They'd stack those Cheez-Its and tumble them all like dominoes deep into their little dens. But this particular night, Lars had left a beer, thinking he'd be back to clear away the mess he'd left on his drafting board, where absent-mindedly he'd been drawing antique swords. He'd drawn Catanias, he'd drawn Gladiuses, he'd drawn lightsabers like you'd see at Toys R Us's. Ninja swords with tactical scabbards like what the Vikings might have left in Labrador. He'd drawn rapiers and sabers and cutlasses, he'd sketched scimitars and machetes, and basket-hilted fancy ones like you'd see in fencing class. He'd drawn Hamburger and Zweihander and a hook sword, but instead the mice turned their attention to the beer, and that's where they found their hop's reward. They managed to lift the bottle one by one. They tilted it over until each little mouse was rolled and roiled and slipped into clover. Each mouse filled its tummy with golden brew, and satisfied they sat back, gave a little burp, just like they were you. They giggled and sniggled and laughed uproarious, and on this mischievous day, some of them, whose names I won't mention, acquired reputations a little more than notorious. The chief mouse among them sauntered over and tipped his cap, and being more than a little tipsy, he fell smack in my lap. Since I was working late, I'd saved my lunch till late, and from my gorgeous galumping bunch of seedless, I handed him a grape. He gave me a wink, stumbling, made it back to his feet, and hopped back up on the drafting board to survey the scene. His rollicking mice mates had tilted the place and got tangled in plastic wrap and paused, breathless, to wait. But feeling his responsibility, he turned again to his mates and told them to stand up and begin to organize in a bid to relocate. They shoved the wastebasket so the debris could fall in the basket, since they were still tiny after all. It was more than a tasklet. It was quite an ordeal. No matter how you feel about mice, they do have a certain furry appeal. The old squire fell into the peanut butter. That sure wasn't honey, and though when he was wiping his whiskers off, it sure was funny. But I've clocked my time in prose and rhyme, and I hope it touched your smile this time. Thank you so much.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. Thank you very much, Richard. All right, next up, Lucia.
Yes, I am here. One poem about mental health with a little bit of sarcasm inside. Yes, a play with disease by Lucia Ramos. I am alone. Actually, it's not truly one. The truth is, I have plenty of people in my mind. It is a crowd, a fire of people blooming in my brain. A Greek agora with an agon. The boss is not Pythagoras or Plato or Aristotle. The boss is God. He is in the his/her palace. I am here in a room of the Exeter Hospital. The name is Cedar, like the cheese. I suppose I am hungry, but I cannot eat. My left ear, which is with a tinnitus, is connected on the telephone with God. Actually, our telephones are deeply inside his mind. Because I am alone, only with the shadow of alive people, some days I'm writing all words in the Cedar Hospital, like this. Plato's cave, actually Lucia's cave. The poets are allowed in the society. I'm dreaming of the forest of ideas, with Mary Beard and Irvina Lom in my mind. Only forest of idea and dreaming to Kalos Kagatia. Dreams are needed to cope with the reality. Here is my city, my country, my continent, my universe. God has another universe. He is alone too, but decided to kill all people. One day I remained without words to write on, and I decided to paint with words the ceiling. God lifted me up, and up, with my ears connected to her mind, actually being inside it. And I wrote. I wrote like a hallucinogen moment. I wrote all ceilings and walls like a trance chaos. I wrote about Mary Beard and Alom and my kitten Ginger, about landscape painted on clouds, about Somos Tristeza, about Je sonne de la pierre devient logos, about Ames Amromnia, and more, about a song of suffering of humanity, but outside some rats were eating from the stomach of dead, and God was watching them. I was up to the ceiling, laughing and writing, and the nurse shouted to me, Lucia, you are not safe. Come down from the table. Where are you come from? You are dead. God killed you. Dead. I am alone. I was lifted up by God. There is not table here. Lift it up. Then everything was disappearing. Only my writing flew in times over universes. God connected itself with me using my antenna from my mind. He said, Lucia, we need to perform a resurrection. Cut your veins. Blood. Cut your veins. Both hands. I need your blood. Both veins. I cut my veins. After a while, my body started to flow as a shadow over the universe. I was pale, and the diamond of the Greek philosophy kissed my lips. My body was flowing over death, and they rose up. My skin was as a bit of earth, but over me was God. Lucia, woke up, it's enough. I opened my eyes, fucking blue eyes, and in reality it was Dr. Cooper shaking my body and Dr. Lindsay Jones balsaming my wounded, bleeding vein. What happened? They asked. I whispered. I suppose I was in a God mind, with Egmont Overture all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you, Lucia. Wonderful. It's always wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Chris Baird.
Thank you, Finn. Hello, folks. Nice to see you again. I've been away for a couple of blots, so nice to be back again. 3 poems, maybe 4, all quite quick today. I've been quite angry over the past few days, just listening to the news, which maybe I shouldn't do, and watching the telly. The theme will become fairly clear. So these are all new poems, one totally different from the others, and the others all have a theme, which will be clear. So first one's called In My Name. Do not, in my name, launch that drone that destroys cities and kills innocents. Do not, in my name, dare to place one child in a lonely grave. Do not, in my name, fire that missile costing millions so that your back can be slapped. Brave chap, do not, in my name, dare to wreak your political vengeance on another hospital, school, or loving home. You cowardly ministers of war, you who stand and point the blame, well, you will not. You will no more speak your war in my name. That's the first one. Okay, the second one, kind of following on the theme. It really has kind of distressed me watching politicians this week who are almost wetting themselves with glee at the prospect of a war. So this is where this has come from. Today, more bombs dropped on Yemen. Yesterday, missiles fired on Iran. Last week, a city laid waste in Ukraine. Now the politicians, the grey men, the dull men, the greedy men, seed the clouds of nuclear war. Does the great artiste have to watch the circus of death? Does Enola Gray have to perform again in the wall of death? As a never necessary evil justifies the cloud of death. Roll up, you victims of war. Roll up, watch trapeze artists soar. Roll up, the clowns are in the ring. Roll up, hear the ghosts of history sing. Roll up to the final big top. Now the audience, the billions, must ensure that they stop. Thank you. Okay, we had a pretty serious snowfall here in the northeast of Scotland.
Call completed. I'm sorry, I thought it was me being connected. My bad.
Somebody can mute, please. That'd be really good. Thank you. We had a pretty serious snowfall here last week or so in the northeast of Scotland. So I wasn't able to. I've been a wee bit ill this few weeks, so I wasn't able to move very much. So I was kind of sat beside a window looking out. So this is where this came from. It's called Snowfall. With cold, frosty fingers, I was looking out the small window, like a porthole to the world. A slow, white tears of memory drift me back on back to times which are so special, where an old man's memory lingers. I love the silent sound of snow as it dampens reality, easily recreating the landscape for my daydreams. The 6-year-old sledging with my dad, laughing in the cold, snowballing my pals in a game whose rules only I can know. As my dad, my own dad, me, sledging with my own kids, laughing as they slide and fall whooshing down the Miser's Hill, where I used to, and even memory freezes. Changes time to snowed in, no power, lying by the steaming fire with my love, gloves, hats, drying from the snow. We made love in a warm, candle-bright home once known. Snow that's more than snow, a falling projection screen to the past, where some memories last, some fade like the snowfall, some turn to dirty slush, as I suppose they must. Some melt away forever. Those are the ones I want to know. Next snowfall. Thank you. And the final one picks up from the theme I read earlier. Watching politicians, war makers, warmongers, almost purring at the thought of another war. Have we learned, really learned, nothing? So the setting for this poem is the corner of a small rundown nightclub. Maybe somewhere in the Caribbean, perhaps, I don't know. It's called Meeting. What is it you do? She purred as she drank her cocktail, the last drop glistening on blood-red lips. I'm a poet, I said, a writer of verses, stanzas and words. She winked. What do you write of? Her dark eyes blinked her question, backed by deep minor chords. I write of love, of hate, of peace. I write to bring thought and happiness and ease. What is your name? She asked, sighing, licking the deep ridges of her lips. My name, I hesitate, is Poet. I smiled. Yours? I asked, drawn closer. Then, moving away, she said, Poet, you've written of me. You've destroyed me in your way. Your verses, stanzas, and words now sound absurd. You see, I am returning out of the sun to drop once more, to darken the day, the days, the day of dead, the day you dread in your poetic way. My name is Enola Gay. Okay, thanks very much, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Strong stuff indeed. Good news stuff for you. I don't know if you can see, my video seems to be stopped working, so I can see all you. That's all that matters. Next up, Leslie Constable, getting an early slot tonight.
Hello, wonderful to see you all. Okay, I've got 3, not terribly long. First one is called The Animate Saturated. Sodden, we have been rained on too much. not yet liquid, not yet soaked to the finest despair. The tips of us, the farthest extremities, the core value dry. It will take over only the slow baking in the night oven to make us plump up, rising to full volume, the night yet noisy with possibilities of who to blame, assigning fault, the assessment of damage. I argue the oven did not explode and splatter us across the wall of the kitchen. You asked me if you could paint it white when I asked you in response whatever could be wrong with pistachio green. The question sincere in nature, I realize on both sides, it is a ploy, the dampness seeping in through the bricks, the walls now slippery wet with the growth of spores inside. I've promised you I will not yet turn liquid, no matter how hard it rains in this desert. The rain to bounce on the pavement so hard, the velocity as it hits pavement to ricochet, reach itself upward, no longer as liquid, but forming as ice white, which does not absorb heat, yet reflect the kitchen to remain unwarm, and us not yet dried out, not absorbing the warmth of embrace in the night kitchen. It is magic, the witch that is needed, the formula which parts skies, cleaving valleys, forming cliffs, burrows of thought, there in the place where there was too much thinking that was done. It is enough, and it is time to wave your goodbyes, to leave this island for the mainland, walk across the imagined straits, the passage that was on foot, rather swim this time. I myself will get no more wet than I am now, sodden in the missing of staying when it is time to leave. I listen with my lungs and close my eyes, and I am one gone from this night kitchen. The next one's called Sprout in the Dark. Sprout in the darkness, your hidden emergence giving you time to grow undetected by those who might have you not grow. It is unknown the motivations that will thwart those of us hidden underground who wait and wait, the long, luxurious waiting to be fully formed and known to need their time for the this and the that of the long awakening. And when emergent, you wake untouched by those who would touch you, alter you, the that which pure form is you. Your intactness shines light into us, and luminate now our world, us to light our way back home, remaining sacred, each to her or himself, foot soldiers all, to be as one, each as beacon in their place, on each rise of hill, to mountaintop, to tower, to signal to us the what, the that which is already known, oft forgotten, and to shine as the light of strength, reason, love, purity of form, and be that who will be those to lead us further. And the last one's called Awash. Awash, lost in the too much underground. The snakings of that was is being quiet in itself, not loud, not seeking, not wanting attention. You, the spelunker, with your headlamp seeking in the cavern, the darkness to find that which glitters in the dark. Even in the dark, your silent incantations of self cajoles the spelunker to look this way, to look that way, the gleam of the rays, the headlamp not finding you. You harbor yourself, nourishing you deep underground in the darkness, fostering yourself perhaps, implanted, allowing the essence of you to drip, drip as stalactite, anchored in rocks above you, and clings as your essence, the underground river of yourself, yours the river Styx, the passageway under rock connecting. The boat is there. You board to take this night journey, the passage, the glow of release inside radiating out, casting shadows on the walls, the sheer faces of time compressed in rock. And on the night river, you recover yourself. You recover yourself each night on the night river, each night, all nights when you dream of the freedom that is yours, you, your freedom, given you at your birth by those, you know them, some winged, some horned, some not. You shout your freedom aloud in the interior to echo through the caverns of thought, our lives, here on the night river, joined in flow, and you are your own, as you are us, You are our own, as us on the night river, and we, you, me, us are free. Shout, 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 the all-repeating echo in the dark, for you are free. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leslie. It's wonderful as always. Wonderful as always. All right. Next up, I believe we have a duo, a double thing going. Please, Mona, Neil.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Finn. I have two things to offer today. A small poem of mine and a video collaboration with Neil. So some of the folks in US might have already seen it, so I apologize for that. So I'll start with my poem. On either side of the barbed wire fence, uninterrupted, the winter morning. Untroubled like a swan in flight, the crisp air with a hint of moisture, the fragrance of decaying wood and moss. The deer watching with soft eyes, my steps, the sound of back and forth, the leaves, all wet on either side of the barbed wire fence. And for the video, I will share screen and I will let Neil talk more about it if he wishes. Okay. Share with sound. Okay.
From green to blue, the azure of space has no start nor finish, no ultramarine nor teal. In the blue of space, sea meets sky. Blue be the color that is home.
You, who knows the warps of time and space, the hollows of my heart, I listen for you.
I keep the square of my distance. I am but a hum upon the solar wind, morphing into cloud and cold, shape-shifting origami you cannot fathom.
Green across galaxies in this interstellar journey of eclipses and twists of fate, the light bends.
The arc of the horizon bent to its bow, shooting stars scour the heavens, misty mountains and horizon yonder, whale sound, light blue of flute, dark of cello.
I reach the depths of sound returning to me from where you are blue and beyond.
Elusive as you approach, blue slips through your fingers.
Countless light years span the dark dream space. Here, we meet in each other, or we don't really meet at all.
Thank you all.
Say thank you, Mona, for reaching out and giving me that opportunity to collaborate in an ekphrastic partnership, which was something brand new to me. I mean, I'd done stuff on art, but never videography of this kind. And those of you who follow Mona on Facebook will experience the still frames that she often posts, but equally some of the videos. And I said this on Dane's show the other day. This is not AI, for those of you who might wonder what and how the images were formed. And the only term I have to describe it is this is sort of video origami, if you want. And there's something very mathematical yet equally poetic about it. So that's, I don't understand it very well, but it's clearly something that Mona does quite naturally and quite often. The way the collaboration actually worked was quite interesting because it was a call and response methodology where neither of us knew what the other was writing. We both have very different styles. And finally, when we came together, obviously, both poems were a response to the music, were a response to the mood, the images. But when we melded it together, it fit together so well. We were quite surprised ourselves at just how synchronized it was. So that's my commentary on the collaboration. Right on the heels of that, I'm just going to read something that hopefully resonates, because in the collaboration, I was blue and Mona was green, and I think the viewers would have, all you viewers would have appreciated that. So here's a very short poem. Again, some of you have heard this much more than blue. They say the ancients never knew the color that we now call blue. Perhaps it just remained unseen, hidden between indigo and green. It took the Egyptians to make a dye for blue to be seen by the human eye. They'd ignored the color of sea and sky. To this day, we can't really fathom why. So what did all the scientific studies find? Were our ancestors truly colorblind? To them, blue and green were but the same, till New Orleans gave music a new name. I have one more very short one, Finn, if I may. I think it's topical because it's all about the month we're in. So here goes. Oh, February. Oh, February, none of us should feel shortchanged, even as an apologetic February with days too few and too fewer days leaps into the frame, carrying in her fists the sun and the moon, balancing on her shoulders all the sophistry and superstition of the Julian and the Gregorian. They see the why and how she ended up drawing the short straw. Long story short, the mountain and valley knuckle reckoner we used as kids was always redundant for February. Oh, February, you verily are a veil. Short and sweet, only once did you ever lay claim to 30 days. That might make a good yarn for another day. Feel not too sad for this Roman month of the dead, where entire cities used to be sanctified and cleansed of evil spirits. For Februarius offers us more than a sop, bringing us flowers and chocolates, and maybe, just maybe, if you're lucky, love instead. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Neil. Thank you very much indeed. All right, next up, Sylvia. Sylvia, unmute yourself, please.
Okay, got it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, I starting this one is listening. Do you listen deeply to feel what I feel? Do you listen to find out what I am thinking? Do you listen with understanding, non-judgmental? Do you listen, find out the real me, what is true about me? Do you listen if you acknowledge what is true and talk? Do you listen attentively and do it to my call? Do you listen and paraphrase? And then there is thanks for being a good listener. I love you for that. Viewers review Lao Ji Sing. Serious new point emphasize on the importance of listening from the heart. Listening through our ears is about gathering a specific set of information and instruction, and is using logic to decide on a specific reaction on a particular course of action. Based on what we hear, several points here highlight a most crucial need to listen with our heart in what the nuance within the unique context for what the conversation occur. Okay, that's for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you very much indeed. Be good to see you back here. First time in a little while. Thank you. All right.
You're muted, Finn.
Muted yourself.
Yeah, I'm muted. I'm saying, why is he not saying it? I'm saying, all right. Next up, supposed to be Eddie Foreman, but he's not here. So, Michael, it's you now. And you're muted, Michael.
Okay, I will not try and match the wonderful rhymes. Thought I'd start out for us Americans, at least this is Black History Month, and I feel it is important to keep that foremost. So this first one is a bridge, a ringa for John Lewis. He gave more in a day than most do in a life, but he gave every day as if it was the last chance to pass on the torch of love. He showed compassion while being kicked and beaten, never forgetting that the sickness that is hate can only be cured with love. He willed himself to transform anger to action, remaining peaceful with implacable courage in the soul of a healer. He was a bridge to the future, helping everyone cross over, his strong back never breaking, no matter the weight or pain. Bronze and stone statues will fall and be forgotten, fleeting monuments to valor or to hubris. His monument is progress. And I thought I'd do this. I still think I have work to do on this, but it's a sonnet of sorts. It's called Mountain. Nothing lies more than memory. Nothing slices silence cleaner than wind. Nothing rests further than you from me. Nothing cuts deeper than a lost friend. Nothing matches on land or on sea. Nothing is finished that was begun. Nothing on the wind needs to run free. Nothing and nowhere and no one. Nothing prepares for the unexpected. Nothing is a bigger joke than fate. Nothing connects what is disconnected. Nothing can teach a mountain how to wait. Nothing holds a place open for the bereft. Nothing is enough when it's all that's left. And there's a ton of people, so that'll do for me. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Michael. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right, Tiana, the artist.
How you guys doing? Hi everyone. All right, got two for you. Amazing. The full of life is amazing. Amazing of grace, amazing of love, beauty, touch, laugh, the song. God is amazing. We can wake up and talk. That's amazing. We can go to school. That's amazing. We have gifts and talents. That's amazing. Today, God is amazing for showing us purpose through Him. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has a voice of crying to a voice of shout. Everybody has a voice. To a mother crying in tears, to a father loud noise. Everybody has a voice. To a young adult get in trouble with the law, to the college students call for college loans. Everybody has a voice. To a preacher to preach, people chose to justify. Everybody has a voice. To the White House, to the Congress, to the military, to the dying world. Everybody has a voice. To a teacher, to a school, to a student, everybody has a voice. To a rapper, to a poet, to everybody loves your song, everybody has a voice. To hey, I'm not getting paid enough, to unemployed, to relocated, everybody has a voice. To gangs in the streets against protests, everybody has a voice. To the pretty lone white saying I do, to the newborn baby coming into the world, everybody has a voice. To be the next top model, to lawyer in the courtroom, everybody has a voice. So let your voice be heard because everybody has a voice. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Good to see you again.
Thank you guys. See you. Seeing all the creative people all around the world. Used to be just one world. Now we're in other worlds. So thank you guys.
All right, see you next time. Thank you. Okay. Edgy. Take it away, Ashley.
Nice one. I'm going to give a content warning for this monster, for child abuse and stuff like of that ilk. So heads up, guys and non-binary pals. So, confession. I didn't think you had the balls. I thought you'd keep protesting. I thought deny, refute, dismiss, pretend it didn't happen. But you sat before me, sun on your back in your fiance's birdsong garden. You swirled your glass of blood-red wine and looked me dead in the eyes. I saw your mouth move with silent words and my anger boiled over. I asked again and watched your face contort with open shame. The word came louder, but still just a whisper. The twitch in your finger betrayed you. I asked again, eyes on every move, because all your ticks are telling. The word comes louder. Your throat was crackling, the weakest of affirmations. You followed it with apologies as though that removed the trauma, as though the others could hear you, as though it could undo. But what you did to your own kids, a sorry will not fix. I sat in validation, my every nerve end tingling, and called your fiancée over so that she could hear the truth. I couldn't bear the sight of you living the dream of many. She must be told, she must be warned so that she could walk away. I sat in validation thinking she would feel disgust at the man who shared her bed, but I sat in validation thinking, who could bear to hear that their loved one loved kids more? But I sat in validation, trembling fury, swallowing vomit, enduring the space he filled so that she could hear the truth. But she twirled her ring and looked away, chuckled and shook her head, said they'd talk about it later. I sat fuming in my seat as you mopped your brow and took a sip. Let the sun shine on your back. Let the sun shine on your smirk. It left me quivering in my chair, wishing I was anywhere but there. I sit in validation, knowing humans can be weak, can be scared to see the truth, can be willing to do anything to prevent being alone. I sit in validation as I shout the words from the page so the world can sit and judge you instead. Done.
That's how you finish, just done. Love it. Thank you.
That ends abrupt, doesn't it? It's a new edit. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Still working on the ending.
Thank you. All right, Catherine, start.
I have to follow that, huh? Anyway, that was fantastic, Ashley. Okay. Hi. I'm happy to be here. I love being amongst poets. I've been feeling very depressed and down. The news is not helping, and I probably shouldn't watch it, but how can you not watch what's happening? We're all one. So I'm going to do 3 haiku and then a couple of short poems. So I'll start with the haiku. Sad little fat girl sitting in the corner waiting for a dance. Proud lion smells me. He wonders if I'm his lunch. I run quickly now. Day in the country, evergreens and waterfalls, a warm cabin home. That was the haiku. I didn't realize it was Black History Month. In honor, I start this out with a quote from one of my favorite, James Baldwin. We can disagree and still love each other unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and denial of my humanity and right to exist. Amen. And this is called Bullies. The cold shoulder hurts. The cold shoulder sucks. It doesn't feel good when one is shunned, especially because, well, we're all one, connected by the mastermind, connected by the salient fact that all souls come together and merge in the great spirit in the end. Oh, Wonkin Tonkin, violence is never ever fair play or deserved. Silence and stonewalling are also tantamount to bullying, which I find passive-aggressive, cruel, and abhorrent. The lack of connection is atrociously appalling. The lack of acceptance is absolutely shocking. But whom do you actually shun? Whom do you really ignore? You are the ones doing the ignoring and thereby in reality ignoring yourselves. Michael sang, I'm starting with a man in the mirror. And that's the real truth, isn't it? Looking at oneself honestly and openly and well, okay, I finally surrender because I can only stand up for myself, forgive and protect myself. Ha, shall I do the work for all of us? You can lead a horse to water, but remember, you can't make him drink. Well, I can stand up tall, forgive and love myself. Yeah, I'm going to take a stance to be proud and strong for myself. Still, the cold shoulder hurts. The cold shoulder sucks. It doesn't feel good when one is shunned, especially because, well, we're all one, aren't we? My last piece is called Coffee Grounds. I am awash in a sea of used up coffee grounds, walking through waves of sticky, tepid, almost tar brown. And will they really help with my garden's growth? Or is it the love from my heart I choose to share and bestow? Coffee grounds, a lie, a myth, or environmentally friendly? After I've enjoyed my cup of morning coffee, I think of eggshells and maybe I should start saving those. I've heard eggshells can be important factors in my garden's health. So shall I get some from underneath my hens and go crack, crack, crack? I could make a nice mix, a blend of blue and beige, brown and white, soft and hard coming together to make a gardener's delight, full of vitamins and nutrients and lovely organic matter. Oh, I can't wait to taste the pungence of my veggies and salads. These coffee grounds, though, also bring up a different inner chatter. that of my past and thoughts of a pending failure. After all, I am an old soul, and now my body has become almost equally as old, resembling the murkiness of thick brown coffee gunk. The heaviness of life has taken its adrenaline toll, and my intestines are probably by now a nice dark ebony coal. If I squeezed my middle, I could perhaps get out a few drops of caffeine injected into my veins, have a free double espresso on the house, similar to cocaine. And as I walk through saved tubs of used up coffee grounds, I reflect on the years of espresso shots I've consumed, and I may have done better to save up all that money I spent and gotten myself a snazzy Thunderbird or perhaps a Corvette. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Thank you very much. Good advice and good poems on that one too. Thank you. All right, Richard Harries.
Good evening. This one is 2525. I got up, drank Actimel, washed the tiny tin foil top, and washed the little plastic bottle. I recycled both, caring, wanting to do my tiny bit for the planet to be green. Then turned on the news. War in the Ukraine, plane crashes with hostages aboard, violence between India and Pakistan, Israel bombing Palestine, trouble between Iran and Iraq, UK and the USA bombing Yemen. So we are at war, just not saying so. So we can afford a bombing campaign, but no social services support or even pothole repairs, and so much more. If I listed them, this could be a long poem indeed. With Artemis, the USA continues to fund vastly expensive space programs, while also having little social care support, and folk going bankrupt if they dare to get ill. World leaders flying in jets to conferences about reducing carbon emissions. And in the case of my MP at Withensea, Graham Stewart, he makes a 6,313 round trip to vote for the Rwanda bill, making around 2 tons of carbon emissions on the trip. Oh, and he was in Dubai for the COP28 conference. Volcanoes erupt, fires get out of control, fracking continues to disturb the planet for profit. Flooding is everywhere, coastal erosion continues unabated. What use are our efforts to be green and recycle if humankind carries on as it is, with the greed of nations and governments, with massive wars, deforestation of the Amazon rainforest, the fires there running uncontrolled, with greed for minerals and power, greed for others' territory, then the future looks bleak. I will still recycle. I just don't know why. A song asked if mankind will still be alive in the year 2525. That was in 1969, and nothing has changed in the way humankind treats the planet and each other. And vastly increased technology has made things far worse. What the fuck are we doing? Did no one listen to Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, Tom Paxton, Nina Simone, John Lennon, and so many more? Does anyone think we are not on a road to disaster? Does anyone think the little we can do to be green will make an iota of difference? The planet will survive, certainly, unless we actually blow it up. But once we've exterminated our own species like we do so many others, the world may be a different place. Then thank you. A sort of different one. There's a new poet in Hull come onto the scene, and so I issued a trigger warning about it, but sort of an embarrassment one because I was going to mention it. It won't matter here, but if you just accept there's a young guy who's amazing. I've written about my Uncle John before, a gentle guy, single, never married, drank too much, as did most of my family, chain smoked, as did most of them, maybe an alcoholic, but not violent and nasty like my dad. I thought all dads were unpleasant, until in my teens I encountered my friends' dads and realised they could be fun and could be helpful and talk to you. I've said I wished Uncle John had been my dad, not the one I actually got, his brother, my dad. I had fun with Uncle John. He bought me my first underage beer. He wanted me to write to be a journalist like him. Dad, the most pleasant thing he ever said, make me a coffee fast. Now, 2 months ago, here at Away with Words in Hull, I saw a remarkable performance. Our friend Johnny Brand, who I knew as a singer quite well, was a friend on Facebook. Delighted to see him here. He recited a lovely poem and then performed, no, acted and lived, an amazing version of Jabberwocky, the genius, surreal work of Lewis Carroll. He pranced, he strutted, he waved his arms, inflected his voice, he lived the piece. And it's how he performed it to his kids. Very blessed and lucky kids. I was mesmerised. He nailed it. Now, I can't say that I wish Johnny, who's about 24, was my dad. That would be daft. But I fucking wish my dad had been someone like him. And that's all from me, because I'm aware we've got 37 people. So there you go. And I thought that was universal enough to do it, even though I mentioned a poet you don't know, but he's a great one to watch out for. Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Thank you. I've got a bunch of poems I'm writing just now, which are very environmental. Because if I might read one later on. Don't have time just now, because in April, my brother in New York is having a display of all his paintings in a place in Hudson in 11th, and I'm writing poems to go with him, and it's quite a challenge to write 30 new poems all on different paintings, but I'm getting there. And part of that event in the evening, one evening, I don't know which yet, there's got to be a few poets reading my work there. 3 poets of my choosing. That's going to be Megas, Gustav Salas, Jane Spoken Word, and Merrily Johnson. I've got to do it for my behalf, and he's got to pick 3 of his own. So yeah, he's a great artist. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, Suzanne, you're next.
Well, these have been such moving, powerful poems. I feel really grateful to be here. Phew, okay. This is called Dark Odyssey. I have 2 poems. When I cannot see stars, I dive headlong into the dark. The ancients who knew what binds us and what will help welcome me. They hold me until I feel safe, and sobs trapped from lifetimes burst free. The ancestors whisper wisdom and reveal gifts of the sacred dark, deep mothering, deep feeling, vulnerability, compassion, humility, the ability to feel the sorrow and grief of others, and the anguish of our earth, mother, softening, opening. We are drawn to turn towards the cries for love. I remember the ways and treasures of the shadow, and I also remember the light now, always present, even if not seen. I feel blessed into wholeness. And this next one is called Listening Graces the Stars. To listen is to dethrone the never-ending mind, be led by the silky hushes of sky, humming of roots, the blood, the sounds of blood, prose, the tears and wings inside words, the subterranean mind. Listening delivers us to the vastness at the core of everything. To listen is to love. When I don't listen to you, You become lonely, hollow. I hear anger steaming inside every word and the spaces between. We have listening wounds. We were dismissed at best. It's not our fault. We need to scream about it. Listen to our words. Let them speak. Listening graces the scars. Listen, feel how our words close when we are bitter. Listen to what's beyond the fortress of thoughts. To listen is to bless. Listen to the other until there is no other. I'm drawn to people who hear quiet things. The mountain wants us to listen the way she does. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Thank you very much indeed. We're wearing on, getting there till our feature point. So 3 more to go before Elemental. And first in that 3 is Alexandra. Sorry, Chris Dickinson.
Hiya. Oh, thank you. I'm just going to read one. This is a poem about hanging on to those precious moments, of which I would say there have been many this evening. So thanks. Shaping up. Strange how some days fall into shape. The slide of jersey silk, the caress of supple leather, the warmth of a second skin. In Rome, I rested elbows on a counter, unfurling my hand for an Italian. She loved her work, fitting the gift of yellow gloves, palm stroking down, smooth to the wrist, close as a promise, snug as a ring. Such instants slip the V of each finger fold, constant leaps, becalmed in memory. Images of last times ripple our dreams, a smile, certain songs, the hats worn for fun. And we miss our people when they leave the room, as if readying ourselves for normality to end. I want the words to stay the time, the skill to be present, hold the hour. How can a moment measure up enough to take the inadequate day for granted? Give pauses easily as a remote control. Throughout the routine days, I ask if some habit will remain a task when the next change comes. We are lost speculating the waste in the past. Our friends are calling, willing us to move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right, Alexandra.
Flying 12. If you are looking for the supreme resurrection of a passion, try finding it in a vision's flare. Volcanoes lava erupting from Earth's womb. Battle cry, heroic exodus. Breaking all boundaries, achieving the impossible. Invisible and visible entities striving to rise above life and death. Above narrow values, widening narrow paradises. Wider and wider along the protean journey. Monad, dyad, antithesis, and new synthesis. From each center expanding and fulfilling discovery and power. If you're looking for the finest quality of a creation, try finding it in a divine spark. Immortality's rays enlightening mortals' minds. Etheric astric bodies, everlasting vitality. Outgrowing every ugliness, guided by beauty. Thoughts, words, arts, giving birth to glorious civilizations. Challenging horizons, freeing from disillusions. Freer and freer along the expansion of Genesis. Logic, principles, discipline, and equals. Wisdom constructing justice, wholeness, and completion. If you are looking for the sweet manifestation of a miracle, try finding it in the human heart flame. Vibrations as rhymes synchronizing with universe's euphony. Endless cycles of sorrow and joy. Hope's momentum waning and flaxing. Waterfalls of emotions plunging down the steep cliffs of our existence. Light brightening through darkness. Brighter and brighter along our sacred friendships. Seasons, leaves, flowers, and patterns. Warding off evil, regenerating, harmonizing strength and immunity. If you are looking for the archetype of a deity, try finding it in the human soul flame. Earth's devotion, endlessly rotating sun's source. The great absolute energy, propeller of all life, whirlpooling through humans and stars. Seas of sunlight uniting with skies of fire. Stellar symbols heightening cosmic chants. Higher and higher along the mystic path. Water, earth, air, fire, and ideas. Worlds and heavens dividing and uniting in divine proportions. If you are looking for the magical journey of a flight, try finding it in an inner euphoria. Mystical self-revelations taking us up to Empyrean worlds. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, the last one before we got a feature point, and it's a Blot debut. It's bringing on the substitutes now. Andrea Jones hasn't made it, so please welcome CP Mays.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Love the poets that's come up. Can't wait to hear the poets coming back. Here's a poem. If poverty were to pull its zipper down, what would be the first thing it pisses on? If privilege were to pull its zipper down, what would be the first thing it's been pissing on? I fear, as humans, our self-awareness should be top priority on everyone's donors list. It's in need of a heart transplant in some third world countries, in need of a brain transplant in some schools' curriculums, and strange enough, self-awareness is just dying for religion to just give itself a break or two. I'm not a glass half empty person, nor am I a shot glass half full. I'm a person that can look out of the horizon and see that there are sunrises and sunsets as sunrises, and rainy weather to be depressing if you like it to be, or nurturing as it is as well most days. I feel like I'm just running circles around feeling stupid, attempting to fit my circular motion in someone else's square box. We as a human condition are in need of a self-awareness intervention program and a brain biopsy. I swear we have come so far, yet seem to have never really left our front yards at all. We have genetically created seeds that possess suicide genes in them so that a farmer's crop can only be harvested once. 5 more seeds that are designed to kill themselves seem a tad less like we are truly a world that possesses all the tools needed to take care of itself, and more like money can always buy you survival if needed. That is, if our market economy's crashing credit score can afford it. Idealism to realism, and what the dealism is bullying the fuck out of a kid called reality. And it seems like all the responsible adults aren't doing shit but looking, believe me. My own self-awareness is completely cognizant of how pointing a finger always leaves 3 fingers on that same hand pointing back, but god damn, I can't be the only one seeing that there's something seriously wrong out there. I can't be the only other injury in the emergency room asking another fracture if there's anything I can do to help. Or how long have you been waiting to be seen? Or at least has someone come out to take your vitals yet? I truly believe our self-awareness needs to be moved to the top of everyone's donors list. Surplus, abundance, and deficit are twin brothers that never got along. But a village raising a child should do more than just accept that they may argue and do something more productive, and at least not let them be seen arguing in front of our future. I mean, our children. I mean, if our children are our future, we are all really doing shitty jobs of letting bureaucracy babysit their present. Man can place man on the fucking moon, but can't figure out how to update textbooks in every middle and high schooler's hands. And I am sincerely, seriously, and utterly disturbed by this fact. There is no excuse for ignorance throwing private parties at our kids' expense. No reason for reason to not make a sound when it's asked a direct question to be able to predict with such accuracy a passing Halley Comet's visibility every 75 to 76 years, but somehow not being able to predict with our own toilet piss on seat accuracy what it's doing to our own autobiographical assassination attempts of being content is not only egregious, it's never mind, it's not my problem, it's not my problem, it's not my problem, and hell yeah, it might not be an easy solution, y'all, but Love never claimed easy as something it has always and forever been. But we be damned if we've known not love to always be a whiz kid of an answer. I'm CP Mays. I'm Concrete Generation. I'm a stargazer Lily at the same time. Somebody has to be. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you and welcome. Welcome to Blot. Thank you very much indeed. All right, we come to that time of the day, time of the evening, time of the morning, wherever you are, to introduce our feature poet, known to many of us here. Many of us know him. You haven't seen him before, in for a treat. Elemental, and he says, driven by passion that fuels the starship of his thoughts. Elemental roams the universe, healing through his poetry, a harbinger of agony, writing wrongs in poems, one heartbeat at a time. Give it up for Elemental.
Peace, and blessings to all you incredibly beautiful creatives. Thank you for hanging out with us today. To every poet who came before me and after, I truly appreciate your energy. It truly is a blessing to be amongst you, to know that poetry is in the greatest hands possible, helping poetry to move forward feeding poetry, nurturing poetry, and still learning from it. So thank you all for being here. I am Elemental. So many things, really. Host of the online open mic presented by the New Eurekan Poets Cafe every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you are plugging in with the greatest community in the world. A lot of those community members in here this evening, so I appreciate y'all. Some folks I haven't seen in a while, so it's good to see y'all. All right. Set my timer too, because I'm not gonna go crazy with it. All right, let's do it. I am the dark side, and anything good and everything bad with your perfect little fallacy. A villainous conjurer of righteous thoughts I was born. Wrapped in this war paint, I used to graffiti the American construct with a mutant matrix Morpheus mind frame atmosphere rearranger descendants of Garvey, Newton, Carmichael X, Black Splash that backlash with mad color. This bad brothers of protest standing still. I am the red pill. Conductor of this conscious railroad underground, speak for my people who were lost and never found. Sojourner this truth, make it Hubbard Emmett till they hear it clear. Say it loud, say it loud, say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. I am Elemental. All right. So this is I feel like this is kind of an extension of that poem, but this is just so dope. I've been dope since conception, grown from seed and mama's gardening next to Blow, Dro, and Coco, where Popo/12 make it hell for a hustler with combustible turns of phrase. Blades fiends beat me up, Scotty, where galactic Sistinas turn sonnets become smack-soaked serotonin. There is no spoon. Pure enough to smoke, blue magic in a revolutionary's body, talking that black righteous space shit, outcasted by flicks of pens deep as Nautilus. These jellyfish-infested stanzas make plankton question quaalude-induced coordinates in leagues of killer beings, make it bubble, chemical, call it aqualung, another QP, hydroponic 16, MD Mambian metaphors dream they love me in mornings after just a bump to get over that hump day to fly your ass to paydays. So American gangster, slanging metric tons of Pfizer Frank White truth recycled, repackaged, and repurposed as extremists. Malcolm Little's last fix made X of Pandora's boxes. I'm so dope. I cardiac arrest, CPR, respiratory repetition, squeezing life back into lungs while stealing it from the living. Sativa, believer, chase dragons from opium dens, scorpion pen, ken the shark's fin, overdose flow. I murdered a rock, injured every rolling stone, not named temptation, hospitalized a brick. I'm so dope, I make antidotes sick. So oxy, I'm Zanny with it, nose candy with it, soft as cyanide's kiss, blow hell dust with methadone methods, think Heisenberg's, Kalana pintails on chemtrails. I've been hailed the most addictive. I'm so dope. I'm so dope. Oxytocin potency, spit dopamine. I'm dope. I'm dope. Fresh off the fentanyl patch with reckless, restless tongues. Call it plug talk. Don't ever think you can throw words at wizards who bleed morphine, sweat snow, and dream of CC's alchemy. I'm so dope with it. I give the hopeless a fearless voice that's just as dope as the ancestors hoped. Appreciate y'all. All right. I really, really do appreciate y'all for being here. All right. So some time ago, I had come across one of my greatest inspirations. And I had covered one of his poems, and I felt that it was only right that I write a letter explaining kind of, but just paying my homage. So this is Letter to Amiri. I was dreaming when I wrote this, forgive me if I get lost in fields of flames planted on black belt estates under blistering mercilessness with a lethal dose of violence to make the boiled bacon go down easier. I heard you. asking universal forbidden questions, treasure box locks overboard with souls who refuse to live lives not designed for them. Middle passage of indoctrination laden transcripts of pirate ships from pirate lips. For every injustice absent from circulation, textbook taboo, new school fools traded chains for names like Yale and Harvard, forefather Ivy League translucent. You used it. Made bombs from longing for equality, sat in, shut down, unmasked clowns on Capitol Hill, Kenny Roger gambler stance, know when to fold them, been holding on to twisted cards far too long. Survived the turn, crossed the river of heroes, poker face, bluff, COINTELPRO, weed out Judas, because if Hoover do it, there'll be nothing left but specks of transgressions, tumbleweeds, where history once grew tall as fences in August Wilson time of day aftermath, calculated abacus madness, signature on backs, railroad ties, rewards for speaking out of turn, speaking out of time, work songs belted by battalions of broken men, finding ways to make a dollar swinging hammers. These splinters made this lead passed down from poplar tree seeds. Urbanite kings and queens made junkies of fiends for government subsidies. Projects of public housing, merry-go-round welfare office, selling everything that's not bolted down. It was one of those times I heard you in piss-filled alleys, shadow snakes hiding in tall grass, bite deadly, boa constrict mobility to 10-block radius, no rights in sight in events, sentences need to be carried out, only speak when spoken to in slum village, Trent town that smothers you. Ghettos are the same everywhere, they all stink. All stink, teeter on collapse to snatch the soul from old school beings in the flesh. I must confess, I don't know if I'm qualified to utter your words or step into your poems. I pray I do this passion, some sort of grace to keep you in faces and spines of those who trace the stars with scarred visions from painful beginnings. My hope is this letter finds you resting in your paradise where poetry is the national language, where ears are finally tuned to the frequency that fuels me to keep this Olympic torch blazing. Thank you for being fearless enough to share it with me. Sincerely, a humble poet, blessed by your presence. All right. So, and to kind of piggyback on that one, it's a piece that I wrote, talking about quite a few people. Hope you enjoy this. This is the legacies. We are byproducts of the American war machine. Agents of the color wheel, baptized in bipartisan brainwashing that said our lives had no value until we became slaves. Now, usually when someone attacks your character, you surmount a magnificent defense. But I ask myself, what would Kwame do? What would Gil say? What would Nina sing? I speak for Langston, to usher in this new renaissance for Zora, to write the blues into the grooves of these poems and out of our skies for Emmett, who never had a chance to grow into a man because his future was stolen by pale-faced cowardice. What would Collins say? What would Frederick think? What would Nesta sing? I speak for Brother Malcolm, to amplify his last message from the Audubon ballroom in a language you and I can understand. We were never slaves. What would Nat say? How would Gasper feel? What would Miles and Dizzy play? Can you hear Madiba in my throat? The stain of his injustice on my lower register, shaking your gilded cages, or the growl of C.T. Vivian and John Lewis, chasing our enslavers back into the crevices of hell from which they came in the very tongue they had no intention of us learning. Can you see Martin in my verbs? Living his dream from the hilltops of New Hampshire to the slopes of California. Can you hear their freedom in my voice? the thunderous sounds of peaceful protests and all the hopes of Black Wall Street burning in the Oklahoma sky. Can you see the program written by the original architects of anarchy, but despise me for disrupting their matrix and decoding their sentinels of decimation? We Darwinites adapt to vile environments with bloodthirsty tyrants. They sinister mutant scientists who violate Zionists for sport and profitability. What would Claudette say? How would Marcus feel? What would Maya write? Can you hear Geronimo in my pain, chanting your demise with the rising tides, rain dancing, days and nights to flush away your filthy remains? Tell me, how many more of our caskets will carry your signature? We are not your fans, nor did we ask for your autograph. Tell me, how many poems must I write to render these unholy scriptures obsolete, to destroy this standard, this symbol, this ideal that we have been something other than royalty since Plymouth Rock landed on us? Let's not forget. We have been miseducated in your uneducated classrooms under your twisted tutelage, and we have earned our degrees in the sweltering seasons of your atrocities. This is our pledge of allegiance, to call you every bit of the United Snakes your scales of injustice imply. The revolution will broadcast live in every time zone, on every platform to jumpstart this big payback. We have come to collect our hazardous duty pay. Call it retribution for surviving behind these enemy lines on this hotdog plantation called America. Yo, rent stew, motherfucker, and I'm the bill collector. Pay up. All right. Couple more, folks, and I'm gonna get you out of here for real. Thank you, really. I really thank y'all for all of your just. All that you do, really. I can't do what I do without all the people that hold up this poetry thing, that really are passionate about what we do. So I thank y'all for that. This is the Dope on Dope. It's been said, addiction usually comes with symbiote more venomous than carnage, attachment to calamity, adjacent to apocalypse, written in Revelation script for maximum saturation of comments, a dime, quarter, nickel, penny, tragedy into empty pockets below poverty lines. I wonder just how much they weigh in relation to $1 when paper is no longer a primary source of writing wrongs into paychecks printed on flimsy promissory calculations of lives lost at the cost of doing business because insurance is lucrative and workers seem to die at alarming rates, snap like untempered steel under pressure of bigotry. Times squared make polynomial of colonial thinking gets a scientific method to their madness. A blasphemous history scripted so illustrious as the habeas corpus intelligence into refuge, sweet sewage flowing freely through school to prison pipeline, turn Scantron test scores to secure housing units, make misguided menace so O-Dog they cane, slanging and banging colors and brands that never stand with us yet band with us when it sounds like money, engineer masters and backroom royalties for certified stunners and runners of corners, kings and queens of concrete and owners of all types of extravagant things, just not their intellectual property. The stage is a world commanded by a few, make Mike fuse where words become explosive, ignite ideas with vicious verbiage, sow seeds of disturbance with this work we put in, dangerous from every frequency and every frequency and frequency radicals call home, hack this matrix into red pills, unplug ideals that sound like 3/5, like second-class restricted citizenship, like water hoses, gunshots, mandatory minimum sentences, connect the manifesto, spell basic instructions before leaving Earth that says slaves. Obey your earthly masters. Behave as though disaster is just around cornerstones of American living. What else would you find? In plutonium-grade shadows that weaponize yellow cake and gruesome gradients of good and evil. Gods and devils rocking platinum-encrusted bezels on doomsday clocks and matching chains like good slaves. You know them good slaves. Rocking the masses bland beat for cream to ascend, blend effortlessly into suburbanation in relation to reparations in hopes. We forget centuries of war with overseers for autonomy? No way. No, sir. No way. No, sir. No way. We say we want the same as always. The average worker wage for every year we gave it free. Damage damages, for every lash cast in name of dominance our flesh will never shed. Pain and suffering for destruction of native tongues and perversion of praise and worship in names of power. I charge them the most heinous crimes our world has ever seen. Of thee I sing with revolution restlessly clawing at my conscience to expose their destructive greed. Remember, these motherfuckers don't negotiate with terrorists, nor do they speak peace, and neither should we. Last one, folks. Last one. Again, thank y'all so very much. Really, good, perfect time. All right. This is just a poem that I really dig because it just talks so many points about where we're going, where we are. And for those who know me, this was my first 30,000 feet poem. So this is my last one and I'm out of here, folks. This is High Altitude, Low Oxygen, or 7 Rules to Survival When Locked in a Nosedive to Reality. 1. Turn bottle inside out, count missing drops swallowed by yesterday's day before when corp morphed back to compass upon failed requests for higher elevation returned in hollow echoes of what was once a savior. Empty reminder of liquid Loch Ness monster goggles lost and tossed more minnow than Gilligan washed away by serial sequence of sickening sour mash hanging over quantum leaps to conclusions that ring excuses off another suffocating episode of a bar keeps bottomless marathon. Different track, same tender or setter of stone tablets too. Warning, suggestion not to sip and least bit of conflict, but who reads labels? Because this is how you double shot, bite back boiler, making trouble like Project Basement, sitting on nuclear consequences to save $1, or make it through the day with fluid attitude adjustment 3. Say hello to problematic persona, turn watering holes, cathedrals of prerogative, bathed in pale moonlight, dancing with devils, call it Friday, or hour or weddings or funeral, christening, inauguration, breakup, or just breathing. 4. Smiles become glassware where icicles clip and pass participles, tapping out help me in Morse code that roughly translate to pour me another. So we lotus linguistics into an uncle nearest forest of spirits in bizarro gardens of Eden, praise Jack Daniels and pass the Macallan 5. Last time I checked, Melville was safe as Shakespeare, eating green eggs and ham, drinking Irish coffee just south of whatever Mark Twain huckleberry bullshit people pass as literature in school these days. While poets are being censored by addicts drunk off power, passing violent legislation with Louis the 13th resting on rancid tongue. 6. Prepare for condemnation of truth champions, toasting in chords and chorus of uproar for omitted stories, guaranteed to intoxicate the status palate, head-on collision with America's sense of apex nationalism, leave you manslaughtered. 7. Unfortunately, we get mandated to remain silent. That can only mean one thing. War is on its way to your shores. Make sure you're prepared. Cheers. Peace, y'all.
Oh, God, yeah, whoa. Woohoo! Unmute yourselves and big round of applause
Hey,
and all
oh,
that.
that was
Yeah.
incredible,
Let's
Sid.
go.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey.
amazing.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Glad you agreed to do this spot. Wonderful, wonderful indeed. Yeah. And get along to his Thursday night New York and things. It's a gas. It's a gas. It's the second best Zoom show next to Blot, I can tell you that, man. All right, we're going to carry straight on now because we have Lantern Carrier and the Maker's going to do something for you.
Okay.
This is a tribute to our brother Elemental, the illustrious poet.
Thank you, my brother. We ready to go?
Indeed.
Elemental, the fire of passion and the dope of hope, a bard par excellence, eloquent and living avatar of poets, master of all the elements, wisdom that knows that both light and shadow dances with the love supreme. Your words burn in the ether, awakening lions, melodies bringing hope to fettered minds yearning for freedom. Your diction becomes a necessary solace, embracing and comforting souls, echoing fiery bars to those who would stifle justice in secret corporate rendezvous. A vortex of passionate and vibrant flow, like a running stream, an echoing drum major in the ghettos of the dispossessed, inspiring hope for despairing souls. Carrying like a griot elder, the glorious visions of tomorrow, you carve dauntlessness in the spirit of the downtrodden, fearless, like Harriet and Nate, a Frederick Douglass in insightful persuasions. When the resplendent sun arise, I hear you resonating with the melody of starlings, the sweet cadences of nightingales, the chords on your sitar of words tuned to magnificence, pave the way into the morn, a healer to insomnia of the exploited ones. Strong, unflinching, immaculate, a genius of African-American ancestry, carrying a lighted beacon, illumining the diaspora with lip gifts of luminosity and promise, taken from the incandescent light of heaven. I see you, a spark of a Mandela King orchestra, unflinching with your fortitude and dreams, a soothing waft to the needy that makes jasmines blush, causes the white lilies and pink magnolias to give praise. Cupping the blossoms as hands folded in holiness, they pay homage to the therapeutic qualities and tapestry of your bars.
If you crave earth, air, water, fire, Elemental's the poet you desire. He'll Jason Bourne that goddamn supremacy, burn down the new Confederacy with fire from the books they burn. This fascist shit makes my stomach turn. They want to treat you like a pawn. It's QAnon and on and on and on. And they're singing the battle hymn of the Republic. Which one of them is the replicant? Bright like fire from the sun. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
His truth is marching on. Storm gods bring the rain, the element of water straight to the brain, drenching the fever of the ignorant masses with cleansing water to wash those asses. Water, water everywhere. Let's have a drop to drink. Elemental's words gonna make you think and feel the power of the river's flood to wash away the stains of blood. Elemental's grounded in this earth, loud and proud to let you know your worth. To this global poetry community, let me tell you what this means to me. When Advocate asks us to unmute, that's Elemental loud as hell. He's a hoot. The love you feel from him is real. You can sense his poetic zeal. Fire, water, earth, air. Elemental's poems are like a prayer for a better world to arise from the ashes of the old. A revolution of the mind, the greatest story ever told. A storm god wind blows through this world. Battle flags have been unfurled. Whose side will you take in the fight between love and hate? Make up your mind, it cannot wait. The side of symbiosis or the side of psychosis? The earth, the air, the water are all on fire. Will we build ourselves a paradise or a funeral pyre?
Will we build ourselves a paradise or a funeral pyre? I am alone, a withered leaf scattered by winds in the scorching desert. Forgive my audacity, O bard. You are the freshness of spring, me, a servant dabbling in the creation of images of beauty to solicit love's grace. Your tongue is an easel, conveying the sublime excellence of Mona Lisa, sweet energies that bring comfort to the despairing, as flowers do to those seeking their beloved ones. You take sweet-tinted marigolds and culinary delectables to the table. Accomplished in hosting, you augment the sacred voice of Miguel Algarin and the legendary team at the Nuyorican Cafe. Your bars are a paradox, shimmering beacons erasing the darkness of our tempestuous seas, yet a cool, gentle breeze beneath the walls of coconut palms and smooth sandy beaches embracing us, whispering to the lapis lazuli of the vast indigo heavens. O Prince of Africa, you, Gustav, Skiff, Zonconto, and Mo, Griot Grandelders, beating the various cadences of African drums, a lyrical call for more blessings on our homeward journey as ancient mariners of light. Nuestro viaje de regreso a casa como antiguos marineros de luz.
Our homeward journey as ancient mariners of light.
This has been the words of the illustrious Magus, Gustav Salas, and the light of the lantern carrier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh, whoa. Thank you both. Wow. Thank you indeed. Awesome stuff, guys. Two doubles in one night. How great is this? Thank you very much indeed. Very apt tribute as well to Elemental. Cheers. All right. Next up, Laura.
Thank you very much, Finn. What an incredible evening, and honored to see Elemental, to see this collaboration and all of the poets. It's exciting, really exciting. And I'm going to read a poem that it was inspired by the Polish performance poet Bohdan Piasecki's poem Almost Certainly. And my poem was written in South Africa in October 2023. I was there visiting my son, and my poem is called When the Wars Come Marching Back. I sit in a country where apartheid was once the law, where apartheid began a civil war. I sit here while war begins in another country where apartheid is an accusation. But in this poem, where the weather is beautiful, revenge is off the table. My grandfather, meanwhile, as he fell from the sky, the B-24 exploding nearby, quite clearly, he saw the face of his 5-year-old daughter. As he fell from the sky, his parachute upside down, quite clearly, he saw the green of the field. As he fell from the sky, burnt hands clawing the chute open, quite clearly, he saw the hands of his wife. I sit in a country where Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, where Mandela believed in forgiveness. So in this poem, revenge is off the table. My grandfather, meanwhile, as he fell from the sky, quite clearly he saw the old black walnut tree in the dry creek bed. As he fell from the sky, quite nearly, he saw he and his brother trapping ringtail. As he fell from the sky, quite nearly, he saw the sheep grazing out in the pasture. I sit in a country where 12 million are in dire need of housing, but Nelson Mandela believed in reconciliation. So in this poem, revenge is off the table. My grandfather, meanwhile, as he fell from the sky, heard the crash of his plane, and quite dearly, he saw the faces of his crew. As he fell from the sky, quite dearly, he heard the song of the mourning dove. As he fell from the sky, landed in a tree, quite dearly, he heard his own voice pray words that he'd forgotten. I sit in a country where millions go hungry every day. But Nelson Mandela believed in the equality of all. So in this poem, revenge is off the table. My grandfather, meanwhile, after he fell from the sky, met the faces of farmers brandishing pitchforks and quite clearly felt the solid ground beneath his feet. After he fell from the sky, witnessed German officers save him from the farmers and quite clearly felt his own heart beat strongly. After he fell from the sky, came face to face with the pilot who downed his plane. Quite clearly, he saw himself standing on a hill in a shower of radiant light. I sit in a country where apartheid was once legal, but Nelson Mandela championed peace and human dignity. And now people walk forward down the road. So revenge is off the table. I sit in this country while in another country war wages in philosophies not in accord with Mandela's. My father, meanwhile, my grandfather, meanwhile, after he fell from the sky, after he was a prisoner of war, after he was freed, quite clearly asked God why he survived when so many didn't. Years went by before he heard the answer. You survived in order to practice believing. The weather is beautiful, and revenge is off the table. Thank you very much, Finn.
Wonderful point. That was wonderful. Just sit back, if not all in. Revenge is off the table. Wow. Thank you very much indeed, Laura. All right, Kate. Hello.
Hi. What a brilliant blot so far and yet to come, I'm sure. So thank you for having me here. It's been a while. I'm busy editing a collection of poetry, and this is a poem that comes from that collection. I was going to share screen, but I'm still working on it, so I've decided just to read it as I've laid it out. So hopefully you like this. It's called Fault Lines. Do you know where your edges are? I mean, do you? We are born without edges. It's the knocks we get, the scrapes we survive that create our edge. Softness hardens to callous. These calluses grow from pressing our vulnerability into rock again and again. Some friction we choose, some we couldn't possibly. This pressure is where we could seek salvation or release, but we don't. The traumas of teenage tremors create seismic shifts in landscape, shaping different paths. Fit in with parents, stand out from peers. Fit in with peers, stand out from parents. You cannot be both, we are told. You must be many personalities other than your own, we are told. So we break. Some break in the heart and build an armor of resistance. Some break at the skin and the scars are visible. Some break from reality because their dreams are more accessible. Some break at the knees and others see the need to lift them. Some break free from their body completely and inhabit only their soul. Life knocks us over every day, and no one bounces, not really. We are brittle in so many different, shattering ways. Okay, that's the first one. And to keep it brief, I'll just do a short second one, which I wrote today at a neurodivergent writers workshop, which was talking about time and time blindness. Doesn't have a title. Resist the list. It twists your reality. Find the flow. Slow down the noise. Find your flow. And know the choices you make are more about letting all those other things go. You might have FOMO, but you can never do it all. Resist the list. Desist from guilt. From your actions, your life is built. So find your flow. You are at the center of your life if you choose to make it so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. Good to see you back again. Thank you. Right, Nessa Mattiella doesn't seem to be here, no. Okay, please welcome to Blot. We've been on one of my workshops before, first time on a Zoom, Marianne Reed.
Hi there, thanks very much. It's been great to be here and hear everyone. It's just really lovely, thank you. Okay, so I've got two things I'll read. One is shorter, the other is a wee bit longer, and I guess they're both about grief and the impact of grief. So there you go. Okay, the first one's called Spring Dance. Smitten with winter, I don't want for spring, but it's here and no joke, tough going in fact. I belong in winter, its dark and stormy self mirrors me. So I imagine forcing buds back into shiny brown casings, curling ferns fronds back into tight fists, stifling starling chatter, and denying the sun its linger. I lost my footing and now I'm awkward, off kilter. Haven't got the rhythm or rhyme for spring's merry dance. Don't we all feel this way sometimes? It takes courage to love the breath that keeps us, to welcome the blossom unbitten with brio. And the second one's called Sometimes. Sometimes I feel you near, which is odd, because you're in a place I cannot journey to, no matter how much I want to, sometimes. They don't tell you about the pool when someone goes, as if they take all gravity with them. It's strong enough to wrench a soul from its body, but I stay to find out what life means to me, whilst I still have the gift. And they don't tell you how empty this world can feel when those you love have travelled on, that their affirmation is what made food savoury and drink sweet, their salt and spice, their milk and honey, and that you have to learn the algebra of living all over again, like a child starting from scratch. And if they tried to tell you, you wouldn't have listened, because to realise your own frailty, which is what this really is, would have been unimaginable as you carved your way in the world, invincible, gallous, and glorious, so sure of your clout. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Marianne. That was wonderful, wonderful as always. Thank you. Excuse me. So we Finn Bell next, but seems to have disappeared. Okay, so it's Terry Rose. Terry. Silence from Terry. Okay. A few people haven't appeared. A few people still to come. Well, here she goes.
Did you call me?
I did indeed. Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to read a poem by Amiri Baraka from his book SOS Poems 1961 to 2013. If I can see it. I'm having problems with my glasses. So I'm going to try. It's called Monk's World. The street, I already messed it up. That street where midnight is bound, and I messed it up again. Let me start. I'm sorry. I can't see these damn glasses. They're new. Composure. All right. That street where midnight is round, the moon flat and blue, where fire engines solo and cats stand around and look, is Monk's world. When I last saw him turning around high from 78 RPM, growling a landscape of spaced funk. When I last spoke to him coming out the vanguard, he hit me to my own secrets. Like Nat, he dug the numbers and letters, blowing through the grass, initials and invocations of the past. All the questions I asked Monk, he answered first in a beret. Why was a high priest staring? Why were the black keys signifying? And who was wrapped in common magic? Like a street empty of everything except weird birds. The last time Monk smiled, I read the piano's diary. His fingers where he collected your feelings. The bar he circled to underscore the anonymous laughter of smoke and posters. Monk carried equations. He danced at you. What's happening? We said as he dipped and spun. What's happening? Everything, all the time, every googoplex of a second. Like a door he opened, not disappearing, but remaining a distant profile of intimate revelations. Oh, man! Monk was digging train now, without a chaser. He drank himself in, and train reported from the 6th or the 7th planet deep in. The Theon. Say this word. The lone escape, where fire engines screamed the blues, and night had a shiny month. I messed it up. And night had a shiny mouth and scattered flying things. I'm sorry. I wish I would have done that better. Can't see out these new glasses. Apologize.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Anyway, Terry, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. That's a few people haven't turned up tonight. So we've only got 7 more to go. So if anyone who's not on the list that wants to read, just give me a shout. So Ian Mack, go ahead.
Hi, okay. All right, the first 2 here. I love the jazz one with Monk and Train. Really inspiring that. But I've got first 2 here are kind of homage to other icons of popular culture here. So the first one is called Just Another Bowie Mashup. If you know anything of Bowie's lyrics, you probably recognize most of these, but not necessarily in the right order. Where are we now? Tell me. How far is it from Warsaw to Potsdamer Platz? Can we go swimming with the dolphins on the way there? And if I lean back on my radio, will we sparkle, waiting for the man to land, waiting for us all to be heroes? And yes, we can all be heroes sometimes, even though sometimes I feel more like a leper messiah, with a heart beating loud as thunder, and my China girl tells me just you shut your mouth. But if you're happy, will I be happy too? I hope you're happy. But don't tell me that you're better than me, and I won't tell you I'm better, I'm better than you. And if I had, or even if I had it all to give away, the blackout hearts, the flowered news, I can't give everything away. Not even if I was the man who sold the world, and even if, like Lazarus, I was in heaven, I'd still be listening to the songs that they're playing on the radio, 'cause I've got nothing left to lose. So let's go dancing out in space. Nobody, no one will see us there as we're dancing, dancing face to face. And if we keep on dancing, we'll never get old. No, never get old. And I won't ever be the loneliest guy standing in the wind. And you will still be my queen. And even if it's only forever and one day. And we'll both put on our red shoes, we'll put them on and we'll dance the blues away. So where were we now? Tell me once again as we stand here under the moonlight, underneath this serious moonlight. And as we sway, tell me there's a better way. There's got to be a better way. That's David Bowie one. This one is I saw somebody put up a picture, a very iconic picture of James Dean in his big heavy overcoats standing on a rainy street or avenue in New York City. So this is one I wrote. It reminds me of one I wrote a while back. It's called Goodbye, Jimmy Dean. Like a fragile sail, you bobbed and weaved against prevailing winds, a weathercock in uncharted seas, a rider of the storm, wind-jamming like an albatross, found out to landlocked Indiana, decked in heavy-duty dungarees. You defied Hollywood, cloning in thick black rims. Even then, they could never dim that flame burning within that slight frame, tented by a heavy overcoat on a rainy New York street. Only child, your mother died young. You searched for your natural mother tongue in method madness. Tragically, art did not mirror life. You failed to jump the car before the cliff edge swallowed you in its fateful maw. Road testing the spider racer on the freeway, a mundane traffic accident cut your thread, but not before you'd left your mark. A die cast for future icons for any would-be rebel with or without a cause. Your master stroke, that death-defying career move, as yet unforeseen. As Bogart put it succinctly, nobody could ever live up to that kind of publicity. And now all that's left to say is goodbye, Jimmy Dean. You were a rebel once on that big silver screen. And finally, a short one. It's a sonnet poem. It's called Momentary. The wind sighs a haunting refrain as the stripped bare trees are bending to the rhythm of the seasons, the random peregrinations of nature's unrelenting bent, stirring up tired memories that once lingered, trapped in the aura and stillness of long lost hazy days. These airy breaths form images that hunger and hang on winter's leery solicitations, that flash with a sudden awareness. But this effect hangs about me loosely, a momentary lapse. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm on mute again. Goodness me, I'll stop doing that. Okay, thank you very much, Ian. I'm giving you high praise there, and praising Bowie and all that and everything. Take it as said. Sorry. Next up, Sharon. And you're muted.
Hi, everybody. I'm not muted now. This is an old poem, but I was inspired to bring it in because of yesterday when the bombs started dropping again. And I wrote it after the pandemic quarantine was over. And it's called Get Back to Normal. Number 1, the house on the corner where you never see anybody in the yard, but you don't think about them after you've walked past. The guy who drives the pickup truck with the Confederate flag bumper sticker, or Old Glory flapping in the breeze from the antenna. The young couple with 2 kids who still can't afford groceries on a 2-income salary. Western medicine. No new vaccines required, but be sure to carry your card. Political parties creating the belief that change is possible. Israel bombing Palestine. India dying from COVID and no food. Pakistan starving. Every country in Africa starving, with no place for humans to live. Women beaten, intimidated, raped, killed, crying out loud. Mostly white faces in the grocery store, except that one black guy buying greens. Fear of people loving each other and themselves. A conversation in Spanish that makes you uncomfortable because you don't know what they are saying. It could be about you. Backyard gardens with unshared vegetables, litter in the wetlands, native names on the street signs, with no tribal members at the hardware store. We felt secure because we had the means to do so, even though the folks 1 block over did not. The stadium concert where 30,000 people know all the words to the songs. Not such a bad thing, but who can afford tickets? 2. Now there are 2 rocking chairs on the front porch, 1 empty. Fear unfiltered, unacknowledged, blank slate, waiting for the white scratches on it. Chalk marks that indicate approval. Fear of flying unprotected by masks. Shearing off the face of the planet, ending up on Mars. Shall we create a new normal that isn't normal? Doesn't even recognize the word and walk into it together? Or wait to ride the bumper cars and not think about what really happened, as if we haven't been waiting for the prototype and been perpetually disappointed. And then, since I was in waiting mode, this is an even older one called The Weight of the Wait. Sobreviviendo. Sitting in the waiting room of her sorry little life, circumspect, knowing 2 things. 1, she will not give up. Brainwash, whitewash, paint made of quicklime and water, dripping off the end of an ancient weary brush. Bristles trailing behind it on the siding, poking into corners of the skeleton in her closet. Bones ground to a fine powder mixed with the paint, rendering it gray and patchy, frigidly handsome. 2, she will finish painting the outer skin of what once was, then choose colors, vibrant, tropical, like an array of bougainvillea, spilling down a stucco wall. Anoint the interstices of her muscles, her sacred cleansing organs, her mighty heart, the wisdom in her eyes. A new brush will lay a thick coating that seeps through her skin from the inside, conquering gray. Sharp circumstance of fleeting or enduring tragedy. There will be some patches left to remind her, to sing a quiet requiem for that she was forced to hand over before she could realize that war was upon her. And since those were heavy, I'm reading one of my really old love poems, which was inspired by a trip to Scotland. Pluck ripe cherries from a branch, feed them to me between your lips, bring pomegranates and May wine, twine me with moss and lichen against a laurel, groan a question to my body as it strains against captivity. Promise that there will be no space between us that cannot be bridged by wild longing, careful lust, and red figs. We will jump the bonfire together under a full's moon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. The voice is going again. Thank you very much indeed, Sharon. Thank you. Scotland does inspire lots of great poetry anyway. It goes without saying.
It sure does.
Right, okay. Next up, sorry here, another fresh blotter. Please give a warm blotter welcome to Joan Borland.
Hello. I spend a lot of time in isolation, and sometimes I just let my heart speak on my behalf or for itself. Boom, boom, boom. Are your personal rockets still flying to the moon? Now, if yours are not, I wouldn't want to be messing with that. Boom, boom, boom. Is it still your cat with who you share your room? You're luckier than me. I have cat allergy. Boom, boom, boom. Do you still have family dinners? But with no family. I can't have Sunday dinners. Boom, boom, boom. You know I'm just trying to keep my heart beating. Boom, boom, boom. Is why I keep repeating. Boom, boom, boom. Is why I keep repeating. Boom, boom, boom. Where are you, universal love? Boom, boom, boom. Where are you, any kind of love? Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. That's my heart. Can you hear it? Boom, boom, boom. That's my heart. Can you hear it? Why do you fear getting near it? I guess your fear blocks that move. Boom, boom, boom. I guess it's your chess move. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Again, this is my heart speaking on behalf of itself about a situation. In your house, I can hate you better. I can see close up the things of yours I'd like to smash to get you back for the things of mine you've smashed inside my head. Those delicate things you smashed with less thought than you would have given to breaking something physical. With each fantasy of revenge, I repair your actual damage. I don't know how much time I've got. I've got another poem. I don't want to take up anybody else's time, Finn.
I can do one more, John. That's fine.
Okay. This is actually one. This is my first published poem. Big shock to me. It's from Border Beats, Writing Across Boundaries, Belinda Subramanian's latest publication. This is called Mind Geography. I'll help you, friend or stranger, should I see you struggling in your pain. I'll recognise you need compassion. I'll give you the empathy you lack. I'll break down the walls around you. I'll see your mind is under attack. In the landscapes of anyone's mind, people can fall into head quicksand. No maps or compasses help people navigate any brain geography terrain. Weather comes to these landscapes. People battle with mind, limbs lame. Separated from sanity. Judgment put upon you. Separated from family. That brings insanity to you. Family walls keep family truth in. High walls hide family sin. The borders of all mind geography are many, and their walls are high. Love will be your ladder of escape. Caring for others to who you relate helps break down others' jail walls. Ladders of escape, jailbreak, trap fate. People don't understand mind geography borderland. Not all jails are physical. Abuses causing mind jails are careless, cold, clinical. I ran from Scotland to England, an escape border I needed to cross. From pain, home border of insane, not knowing what it would cost. I had left my family abuse behind, but in England, my borders were crossed. I went by train across the border, separating Scotland from England. I ran away from my Scottish home. I hoped a new country, a good life I'd find. Jailed by Scottish family who lied to a hospital to fence their secrets in. I climbed those hospital walls. My mind and flesh were torn, escaping false jail, not of my sin. My father built walls around me, hiding all with me he was doing. My mother and her complicity was scared I'd be his undoing. I repeated the pattern of taking partners, the same as my father. I became pregnant to one. I ran to Barcelona. Travel was my armour. Crossing borders has been my life. Some crossings have been kind to me. I felt others cross borders, break through their mind and body, break through their mind and geography walls. Those trapped, I'll try to set free. I think I'm a rogue border patrol soldier. Yeah, that's what I think I am. I'm a rogue border patrol soldier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan. Thank you very much. Glad you got round to doing them tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Finn. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mandy has appeared. Are you ready to go now, Mandy?
Hello. Hi.
Okay, sorry to spring it on you because it's your walk-up readings anyway. Okay, go ahead, Mandy.
Okay, it's me.
Yeah.
Okay, I can actually hardly hear.
What was that?
I can hardly hear.
Okay.
I'm just going to put this volume up a bit. Right, say something.
I'm saying you can go now, Mandy. I know you're just in, but you're on this
Yes.
block of readers anyway, so.
Yes, I'm just in. That's fine, and I can actually now that I can hear that you weren't saying Maggie, and there was a Maggie somewhere that that often happens. Right. Okay. Hello, everybody. Sorry to be just dashing in at the last minute. This has been a very peculiar day. So this poem is called Vertiginous. Jimmy Stewart, you had no idea how the carpet's paisley pattern would burn into my cheek as I fell, performing slow arabesques as invisible crystals slid and tinkled through the coils of my ears. Bone diamonds inside my head, harder to budge than carbon's ancient jewels buried in the rocks of lands where the death of millions are written into their surfacing. In the coils of my brain, I was anchored by geology, giddy with history. The ceiling light pirouetted. The stars dipped and slipped out of control. I was like a drunk woman, a maenad whirling, but there was no pleasure in it, nor anything sacred. They call this spinning benign, by which I suppose I am to understand it won't kill me. To experience malign paroxysmal positional vertigo would be to fall out of Hitchcock's bell tower, or off a cliff, like the economy say, or in like the dizzying despair of the 16-year-old boy I met last week, who, having fled the terror that had been his home, the broken bones of burnt-out houses, the tortured corpses in the streets, having walked alone at night, out of that danger at least, though there were many others, having hidden in the corners of lightless lorries, and walked some more, and hidden some more, and eaten nothing, and shivered across the channel's cold wind and sea fret in a shelterless blow-up dinghy with a clapped-out engine, was plucked out of the sea, brought to shore by men in uniform, met with confusion, suspicion, questions in a language he knew nothing of. That precipitous arrival, the dizzying return of a too familiar dread. Compared to that, what is it to fall in love or out of a bell tower? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mandy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here. I shall hang around for a bit now. I can go. It's a bit peaceful. Right.
You can slow down now for the next half
I can
hour.
sit down, but I'm going to turn off because I'm still eating my dinner. I mean,
Okay,
I'm going to be invisible and listening while I eat my dinner. You don't want to see me eating my dinner.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, Gerald.
Fine.
Oh, hi everyone. I've got three, they're quite short. The first one is called Tooth and Claw. Two mangy foxes came onto our lawn scratching. It's not clear if they live in the woodpile behind the shed or in the overgrowth 2 doors down, or what. We're reluctant to feed them because of the rabbits next door and what the neighbours might say. Also, I guess it's nature, tooth and claw, and we might not do much good anyway. At least I broke the ice, even if I couldn't take the netting off the pond because it had locked into the surface. The vixen, my wife suggests, may be pregnant with next spring's cubs, but that's a long way off, and the mange looks pretty bad, even when I watch them climb on our fence and leave. The bird feeders are full, but this cold snap is a killer. We turn up the heating, hunker down, try not to feel guilty. Tooth and claw. And the second one I'm going to do is called On Reading The Good Angel of Death by Andrei Kirchhoff while sorting my other books. And if you don't know the good Andrei Kirchhoff, wonderful Ukrainian writer. All day, I've been sorting through books, categorizing them by genre and sub-genre, fitting them by size and bookcase height, putting them together in intellectual relationships, involving myself in literary decisions, converting boxes and piles to rows on shelves. Now that it is dark and silent in my room, I pick up one and individually absorb the words and sentences. Brackish water, wind-swept deserts, existential answers to the questions the hero just keeps going on about. The others cannot understand why it is not them I choose. I guess I'd feel the same if my colourful spine was ignored. Okay, and I'm going to finish with this one. It's called Footsteps of Jesus, and you probably have the Bing thing that comes up with all kinds of different stuff about different things, and celebrities and whatever, and some news. And there's one that keeps coming up on mine from Stars Inside a website. And the title of the page, which I haven't looked at, is called Following the Footsteps of Jesus, Biblical Sites You Can Still Visit. Emphasizing the word still visit. This is called Footsteps of Jesus. So there you have it, a list of sites you can still visit where Jesus went. Looks like Bethlehem's out, and Gaza. Maybe not Jerusalem if you look like Jesus did, Palestinian. The thing is, I don't want to go where Jesus went. I'd rather do what he did. Love my neighbor, turn the other cheek, give to the poor, heal the sick, oh, and raise the dead, except that these days it's a long list, 25,000 and counting in some places. All I'm saying is that following in someone's footsteps is usually a metaphor, not a fact. And even if it is a fact, the metaphor still counts. Wouldn't it be better to identify a list of sites to stop bombing? Maybe start with the ones where Jesus went. Thank you. Keep working for peace, everyone. That's me tonight.
Thank you very much, Gerald. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right, next up, Clive.
Hello. Right, I'm going to do two. One, some of you will have heard. It's what I jokingly call a poem. Then the second one is a brand new piece, very silly piece of flash fiction. Flash fiction. So the poem, such as it is, I'm sure we've all watched the news at some stage, or any live TV program, or Zoom for that matter, with the subtitles or the captions on, and seen how hopelessly inaccurate they can be sometimes, especially if you've got someone like me talking with a bit of an accent, so it doesn't always pick up the words correctly. And sometimes I watch the news with the subtitles on just because some of the things it comes up with are hilarious. So anyway, this is based on that, and it's called When BBC Subtitties Go Bung. My name is Sky Snowman. I am a poet, chameleon and Tory seller from the wet piglands, po-faced in Klingon in Wiltshire. Recently, I've buffered from blighter's cock, so I forced myself to write something, anything, to release myself from this torture, for the good of my genital health. After all, it has been suggestive that fighting is as good as therapy. This is the result. It's not likely to be one of my greatest tits, not by a long fork, but at least I'm getting worms down on paper, which is half the bottle. It's not a poem, but a brief naughty biography. I farted writing poetry about 20 years ago, but didn't start reforming until 2014, when I started breeding at open mics. Breeding in public was awkward for a sly introvert, as I was back then. But now I'm keen to breed anywhere I can. In the curly years, I rarely lasted 3 minutes, but now I barely get warmed up inside 20 minutes. Indeed, I've done a one-man performance lasting 75 minutes on humorous occasions, and that takes guts. I called the show What If They Barf At Me, and many people did. I also write fash friction and snort Tories, which is a weird thing to do. I am the co-ghost of a broken nerd night, along with Licked Shovel. I am not what you call an additional poet, nor am I a glammed up chameleon. I don't blunder lonely as a clown or write about Stafford Hills, and I don't tell typical jokes or reel off bemusing one lioness. I guess I'm stuck in the fiddle, neither one wing or the other. But I've found my own voice, and that is the most important thing. I want to bend this chalk, string it to its confusion by suggesting that we all have something to slay. Even if you think it doesn't need to be dead, slay it anyway. As I Tennyson earlier, it's God for your gentle well-being. So, thank you for listening. So, that's the first one. Typical highbrow stuff from me. The second one is a piece of flash fiction which I wrote last night. And it is, before you think I've gone completely stark raving mad, I mean, I know I am anyway, but this was actually written to a prompt. And that prompt was something along the lines of, I know it can't be happening, but I saw it with my own eyes. And you have to write something based on that. So I came up with this. You don't often see a panda playing accordion on a cold winter's morning in Swindon town centre. I don't think I'd ever seen one until last Wednesday. I once saw one playing the recorder, but I think it was drunk because the tune was unrecognisable. Apparently it was a Coldplay song, and it actually sounded quite upbeat. But this was different. An accordion? I struck up a conversation with him and asked him if he was enjoying himself, but he shrugged and shook his head. I was a bit taken aback by that and asked him why he was doing it. And he said, because it's better than sex. I laughed and said that would explain a lot coming from a panda. He told me in the most uncouth language to go away. No one believed me when I told this story, and CCTV shows he was in fact playing a guitar. How strange that I remember it as an accordion. I feel stupid now. Every damn penguin in town plays guitar when sober. It didn't even make the local news bulletins. But they're fighting over territory now, and the BBC have sent an investigative polar bear to cover the story. He has so far encountered a glacier of silence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Clive. Thank you. How did your afternoon beehive go there, your first Sunday afternoon one?
Yeah, it was, from the live point of view, it was great. You know, we had a lot of newcomers, quite a few people there, although it was a bit slow to start. We thought it was going to be an absolute disaster at one time because we only had 3 Zoomers. But the live element really picked up. We had a lot of new people coming in, and some of them were very good as well. And it turned out to be a really good day. Johnny Fluffypunk was just, as always, brilliant.
That's good. I mean, changing times and things and days sometimes takes a bit of time to get people used to it and things anyway, like, so.
Yeah, and I mean, Sunday afternoon's not ideal. I mean, obviously we prefer the night, like our Zoom one, which is on a Friday night. But obviously my working hours changing and finding a day that didn't clash with anything significant and worked for me and for Nick and for the venue was an absolute nightmare. So we settled on a Sunday afternoon, which is not ideal for me in any way, shape or form, but it's the best we could do. And as I say, we had a lot of new people there who came along about 3 o'clock, 3:30, and it was a really good afternoon in the end. So
that's good. That's good. Always good to get new people.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, Joe. You're next, mate.
So I'll have to try and follow that humour with something totally unhuman. First one I'd like to read, I've got 2 short ones I'd like to read. The first one is called In Memory of Vain Immortality. Bleak days, thus dry veins, that cold blood drains into thirsty dust. After Hercules laboured to become immortal, did he watch the pointless death of Telemachus as the first rock was thrown to resume the bloody games? And did he return to the blessed garden to pick golden apples, with the weight of the world growing ever heavier on his shoulders? Then did he feel so small beneath all of the massive history of the world, even 2,000 years ago, before time sped up and built mountains and oceans, more history of humankind's pain and misery before Jesus Christ made the big time in all of the headlines. I wonder what he made of this new mortal. Did you wonder as he washed his feet in the red spring of this new glory river, how much blood must drain and soak it to the world before it filled an ocean? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Just one from you tonight as well, then.
No,
Thank you.
a short second one. Called The Same Moment.
That's good.
I caught you looking in the glass, a bit scared perhaps, but you winked and smiled anyway. How are you? How do you feel tonight? Because no one knows for sure that you're really all right. I caught you looking unsure, uncertain of yourself, and then a little torment. Because you'd already lived that moment, had that wish with mortality. No, it was 30 years to sanity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Excuse me again. Okay. We're down to the last four, and three of which are blotter debutantes, shall we say. Especially three new blotters. So it's 6 or 7 tonight. That's great. So please welcome Mr. Tezo Mikovsko. Mr. Tezomok. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Teso Somok. I know some of you guys from Day and Incense. I have 2 short pieces. First piece titled To Smear Blood and Feign a Corpse. Epigram. The Second Amendment was born of slave patrols and militia massacres of indigenous people. Mark Carlin. Mia Cerillo self-consecrated with her friend's blood, the lamb before slaughter, pending the Passover by the angel of death. A continental occupation has been born by pure, unadulterated violence. The subsonic shrill of the bullet, the neigh of the horse, the bone rasp of the swords, and the growl of Don Juan Rodriguez mastiffs. I think they originated some from Ireland. In May 1494, the friendly Jamaican retreated to one dog. One war dog caused absolute terror. Columbus wrote in his journal, one dog was worth 10 soldiers against Indians. In March 1495, in the Vega Real battle in the Haiti campaign, they used 20 dogs. Alonso de Ojeda, who had fought against the Moors, commanded the dogs. He released the dogs shouting, "Trágatelo todo, perra," basically, sick 'em. In an hour, each dog had torn apart 100 natives. The island was taken by the terror of the dogs. The future conquests, including Ponce de León, Balboa, Velázquez, Cortés, de Soto, Toledo, Coronado, and Pizarro, all use war dogs. Salvador, the Savior, in 80 minutes, the angel of death passed over the Ubalde community, civilizing a native community by the terror of self-hate, hate crime of one conquistador, bringing back the old adage, the war dogs ate my honor roll certificates that Javier Lopez and Lexi Rubio received that morning. In peace. And then my second piece is titled Flotsam on a Mighty River. Epigram. To put your hands in a river is to feel the cords that bind the earth together. Barry Lopez. I know the last days will be here when the sun runs into the ocean, and that I will see in a movement of seabirds and hear in the sound of water beating against the earth what I now only imagine, that the ocean has a sadness beyond even the sadness of birds, that in the running into it of rivers and the weeping of the earth for what it's lost. River Notes, Barry Lopez. my piece begins. A river begins at a source, usually at a watershed, draining into streams, basins, lakes, follows a path of least resistance. It ends at a mouth or a confluence, a river delta. The water is confined to a channel made of a stream that bed between banks. In some, there is wider floodplains shaped by floodwaters overtopping the channel. The distinction between river channel and floodplain are blurred by urban areas where the floodplain, which becomes greatly developed by housing and industry. A river flowing is a source of energy that acts to change its shape and form. In 1757, the German hydrologist Albert Brahms empirically observed that the submerged weight of objects carried away by a river are proportional to the sixth power of the river flow speed. This formulation is called Airy's law. If the speed of the flow is doubled, the flow would dislodge objects with 64 times as much submerged weight. Under maritime law, flotsam is debris in the water that was not deliberately been thrown overboard. In the middle of 2018, Michelle Alexander wrote an essay where she argues that we were not the resistance. She stated, "We are a mighty river they are trying to dam." A fragmentary flow of bodies, segmented desires, semiotic dreams, historical reckoning and reparations, the aggregation, multiplicative emergence of power that topples grounded statues and assumptions. When the political river sweeps away monuments, it erects its own while simultaneously dislodging Columbus. The indigenous steward watched as the flotsam carries away the multi-century genocidal cancerous caravels. The freedmen peeking through the Underground Railroad as the resentful Confederate Southern Crows are dragged into their wooden floating batteries and sunk into their white supremacist ironclad cruisers. The power of the river unnames the streets, buildings, and places, and once attributed as trophies of the old world that sanctified the right of conquest, the doctrine of discovery. And like the wolf and the sheep at the stream drinking water, the tyrant needs no justification for an automatic banishment, displacement, and fraudulent transference as occupation. Delusion, fear, and dismay have long been rooted in a metamorphic world. History, as in his story, not our story, is being washed by the mighty force of the collateral inequalities of history that have lingered like toxic blooms of algae. We must remember that simply doubling our effort will multiply our effect by 64 times. Airy's law. End piece.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much indeed. Welcome. Brilliant. Welcome. All right. Please welcome another first timer, the Whisper Poet.
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be here. Paul Spisak kicked us off with a poem about a lizard, and that inspired me to write this. It doesn't have a name yet. Steam rises from the cracked black surface of the road as cicadas slide musical limblets in chirruping celebration. Sparrow opens her throat to join the duet and delight of the life-giving rain. Throat softened to sing, no longer parched. Beaded diamonds cling to emerald blades on the roadside as the noonday sun shares its fiery face with the inhabitants of the verge. A cosmic exhibitionist in love with its own blazing glory, and the water is a blessing. Grandfather sets his mind to the task of transit His wizened head extends forth slowly as if supported by a boom. I can see his eye, fixed and unblinking, skin wrinkled and spotted with age, old scars visible as badges of honor earned in the wars of days gone by. Fixedly, he begins to move. His house atop his shuffling frame, sectioned and scarred in shiny brackish black. He sets his claw to macadam with resolute determination and in trudging cadence makes his way to the Rubicon of the painted stripe. Suddenly, Sparrow and Cicada scream out, "Grandfather, wait!" But he has crossed the Rubicon and entered the fray of the road. Metal and rubber squeal in protest, and smoke blends with steam rising from the road. The door slams, and feet slap the wet black pavement, drying now in spots under the sun's outraged glare. Hands grasp as grandfather snaps, his beak deadly and capable of breaking phalanges in half and stripping flesh from fingers whose mission is unclear to the old curmudgeon. Infantry landed, the flip-flops slap, slap, slap the pavement as grandfather is airlifted to his own rescue. His head retracted into his bunker to wait out this grievous interruption of his plodding but purposeful cross-county relocation, where the grass is greener on the other side of the road. And I have one more. This is dedicated to my grandma, Mary Josephine Brandon. Her name was Josephine, but her real name was the quiet strength of a woman who knew exactly who she was and what her role was in this world. Grandma. I dug potatoes in her garden, the velvet dirt, rich and black, turned over with my little spade to reveal the tiny tubers and green tendrils, a child pirate's treasure of leafy green jewels that never failed to thrill me with their discovery. She would lift the huge elephant ear leaves of the beige nubble-skinned cantaloupes and wanton emerald-striped watermelons, resplendent in their glory in the shadowed human southern summer air. Their nascent beauty sparked imagination and memories of ruby red flesh glazed in delicate sugared white and warm juice sticky on my chin as she cut me slices with her worn old wooden-handled kitchen knife. I loved to breathe in the sharp, clean scent of the tomato plants, their hairy green stems tickling my hands as I plucked the bright red flavor bombs from their wire-caged vines. She laughed when I bit into a fat, juicy one, the seeds and juice shooting 5 feet out in front of me. The garden was peace and still afternoon quiet, with a backdrop of lazy insects singing in symphony. A few rows over, the dill plants grow 4 feet high. Their fringy fronds will flavor the pickles Grandma cans each year. The rows of mason jars with brass lids sit with silent promise on her counter, filled with bright green pickles. Crunchy sour pickles I will devour straight from the sweating glass of the jar. Drink down the juice and fish out the softened cloves of garlic to mash between my front teeth. In the near distance past the garden are the chicken houses. 3 plain gray rectangular houses where the hens cluck contentedly in the heat of the afternoon. Back in the kitchen, Grandma is making dinner. Every meal is a feast, punctuated by endless rolls of yeast bread that she bakes twice a week. She smiles and hands me one of the golden rounded humps when I beg her, "One more, please." Then, tummy full of her love, it's time for a bath and the old green tub, and then into my nightgown. It's long, with lace edging, and made from material that I chose myself on our Friday night visit to Rose's, where Dada goes to the automotive department to look at tires, and Grandma and I look at crochet yarn and then get ice cream. Finally, and at long last, I'm tired. I slip into the crisp sheets of the dark-stained antique bed in the guest room. There's an old black rotary phone on the table beside it. I wait for Grandma. I will not sleep without her. Grandma, I call with the child's impatience. She wraps her solid strength around me, and I dream of her grapevine with its dusky purple-black muscadines and leather-veined leaves. Her name was Josephine, but her name was really Love. Whisper.
A lovely last line. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful, gorgeous stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Come again, please. All right, and a final, not final reader, we've got a couple more, but a final first-time blotter. Gary.
Okay, I have just a very short one here. It's called Mist. It's gently covering, settling, diaphanous, mysterious, lyrical mist rests. Waiting? Nothing in nature waits. Everything is movement. Temperature, pressure, and light process moisture in the air of an hour's past through now into the future. Mist carries wisdom of change, lifted upon little wispy cotton clouds caressing the land, settling in hollows and creek bottoms to grant everything it touches the sheltering shroud of grace. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. And that's a really nice point for getting at the end. Wind us down beautifully. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Angie. You're still muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for having me, Ben. I have just one short poem I've called Memories. Memories. Alone with my thoughts, in front of the window, every day the same scene. A tree, a car park, seasons passing by, leaves coming and going, sunshine, rain, snow, and repeat. People lonely in their houses, waiting for change, better times to come, their patience being put to the test. Watching a bird on the tree, that one is free, can fly away. Not me, I'll stay right here. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Good to always have you back. All right. His back's disappeared for a while. Somebody cut our power for him. He's come back. Finn Bell.
Thanks so much, Finn, and apologies, folks. I was looking forward to hearing the feature, and I missed it. We had a storm. We have a storm in our area, so there was a power outage. So I want to share 3 pieces, if I may. The first one is a poem by Jericho Brown. It's Lenoir. My uncles are the tallest men I know. Every doorway a chance to bow their heads. They love the Lord. Skin so dark, their last name is Lenoir. Imagine growing up Black in Louisiana with a name that French, but only able to pass for night. By the time each one hits 13, he's picked enough cotton for me to think of blisters when I wear a new shirt. At 14, He thinks of 6 feet with nostalgia. When I was small, I'd walk those fields with them in that sun. I'd tilt and tilt my head to find their faces, but end up blinded. Too much light around the darkness up there. I saw women see them. I'd see women quake. I didn't understand that my uncles were not gods. None of them seemed to fit in a chair. I mean, I don't think they ever relaxed. Some men are so black, you can't see them. Or you can't bear to look out of fear of not measuring up. I'm only half an inch over 6 feet. I am what this century calls a man. When you think your job is to look out for your baby sister, you show her kids how to look out for themselves. My baby sister has no kids. My uncles tell great stories. The Black man is always the hero. When one dies, we speak of him in the present tense. One gets murdered in Vietnam, one gets shot on Madison Avenue, one gets elected city councilman. A principal, a deacon, a yellow school bus driver with bone cancer, a man with more wives than children, a deacon, a man with more children than he could remember, a mason, a deacon. I should mention the mean things they did. No grave is deep enough. The Black man is always the hero. He will walk you to the edge of a field, squat close so you could hear him, and point, saying, everything your grandfather planted, everything his children reaped, all this is yours. You have to grow into it, your legs stretching out along the floor and farther beyond as you fall asleep in the best chair you got. So that was Jericho Brown Lenoir. So the next poem, I'm going to supply you guys with a glossary because a lot of the words are in Tagalog. I don't tend to do this a lot because I'd like you guys to do the research yourself. But here you go. So this is titled Venus Arbolario. Venus meaning the way that we pronounce Venus, like the goddess, the Roman goddess of love in Tagalog. And Arbolario or Albulario is the medicine woman, the witch woman. Venus Arbolaria, after the madcap conversations with the inner workings of the mind of C.P. Mays. Cha ng damong Maria para sa masakit na tiyan. Quiet down, the tide of your arrival, sister. Shush. The vehemence of your crimson low moon river quell the swelling wave of you, woman wilded. Imbibe mugwort. Sanguine mark your worth. Stigmata forms between your parted thighs proclaims you blessed. Halt the crimson flash flood. Cauterize clean. Behold, they'll make a holy woman of you yet. Cha ng damong Maria, damo, dumi, consume soil, eat dirt, dirty, filthy, marumi, they say. Marumi si Maria Santísima Sagrada Sacrificio, sacrifice her, consecrate her, rebaptize her in their image, painted over lily unmarked white, to the nave where the vestal hearth will not burn for her, will not burn for them, will not burn them, they will burn for her. They burn her whole. Burn her at the stake, acclaim holy, holy commit, immaculate conception, birth of a virgin born upon a latch-trap shell, snap shut. Celibate angels will lift a harlot's weight in misdirection. Her story awash in fleeting seafoam brush stroke, history, repigmentation done in a heavy hand. Done in the shadowed alley, guilt, gilded, golden, goaded ratio, the masters, St. Stephen, stoned, silent, stone, ground, cuckold worship, midnight mass attendance. See a god man span the sky, extend a groping limb, bar us entry to the glassy heavens of the ceiling, to touch his humanity, to self-pleasure his ego, to fabricate the high holy writ in Sistinian gargantuan proportions. The reclining goddess is exiled in repose, body incorruptible, body rose-scented, sweet, smiling up at her ambient drowsy constellations. Listen, a capon crows 3 times before dawn breaks the heavens. And then finally, one poem. This one's brand new, so bear with me. It's a little unwieldy. It's called Dying Planet. Yes. Oh, sorry. What was that?
Oh, it's just this one and me, then I'm done too. Okay. I'm just done, sorry.
Sorry, what was that? Oh, okay. So this is called Dying Planet. Darkness is the cinema for her own blinking luminaries. A deep flesh violet in the absolute of nighttime. We are not at black point. We are not at point blank blindness. We could see all the stars if we look long enough. That is not to say, when we look this way and that, we can make sense of positive against negative space. That is not to say, when we are here, we are present, and that we know this as being. How does the body tell you she is adrift when she cannot tell you why she is where she is, cannot tell you why she is who she is, cannot tell you half-truths, whole lies about the diameter and brilliance inside her molting sun, inside her long gone, dying planet? There lies a song in utter silent void, a clicking meter in a moon's heartbeat. The words, the meaning, the intention. The words speak, the meanings convolute, the intention nudges. The words, the meaning, the intention. All lost, all secretive, we call out code. And we interpret, divulge. Rogues pass through this universe en route to fogged up, glistening neon-baked systems. Only they may cipher the lost language, but they will not let us in on the cruel gimmick. This here note, their extra-galactic pun. They play telephone with each other, hide among space stagnant dust. We are eons in the past. We are light years behind. In a while, they tire of us. They do not stay long. The presence of light is not the absence of dark. We hear no sigh of relief at their meeting place, no yielding of, no acknowledging of. I and here you begin, here you take. I have the sheer magnitude of myself left to give. Does anyone care to comprehend how the day does the night dirty? How he woke up one morning, shade spliced and sanity declared. Watch now, but no, not too closely. Will you tell every ear already bent crooked that I outshine the elusive moon? Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. What a beautiful way. Beautiful way to finish Blot. It's been a great evening. I actually got to do one. Because I've got to screen share this for those that was here. There we go. Earlier on when I was talking about the exhibition I'm doing, writing poems for, you can see that. It's one of my brother's paintings there. It's called The Last Narcissus, and as you can see, it's a samurai warrior guarding just there. The last narcissus still growing amongst a bunch of dumped tires. And the exhibition's basically, it's all paintings to do with the environment and corporate greed and such like that. It's a really short poem. When all is said and dumped, tiresome preaching going over the heads of those who know, those who don't not care, those who like to watch living things die. Rhetoric? From my room, barely big enough to yawn into, you and yours, big enough to be a small town. You may frown as we protect the things we care about, shout about as you try to drown out our voices with inconsiderate choices, all for the sake of that extra dollar. And that's actually one I've managed to finish writing. I've got another 12 to try to work my way through in the next month or so. Anyway, thank you all for coming along. It's been a great thank you to Elemental for a stunning feature set. Brilliant. It's been
Thank you.
recorded. I'll get it downloaded and sorted sometime this week. We're back on the first Sunday of March with the Mad March here, Ashley Edge as our feature poet. So it'd be a great night then too. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to all the 5 new blotters tonight and all the regular people. Thanks for staying up, staying on, hanging out, chilling out. And hopefully my video will be working by this time next month. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Finn.
you.
You,
Thank you, Finn. Thank
Great
you.
evening.
Thank
Yep.
you so
Yep.
much, Finn.
Thank
Great
you.
evening.
Bye,
Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for a wonderful
Good evening, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Night.